Today's lesson is called Taking Charge of Your Credit Card. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're talking about easy ways to make payments for various things that you want or need in your life. Okay, here in Taiwan, of course, you love your cash. Lots of transactions are conducted with cold, hard cash. But, of course, you can also pay by credit card in some other places. There are some other payment options, too. These different ways to pay with different sorts of cards through 7-Eleven and stuff like that. But what we are going to talk about today is your credit card and how to use it.
Oh, I know. There's like Apple Pay now, and there's Line Pay now, and there's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Oh my gosh, there's so many different ways to pay for stuff now. But still, credit cards are still around. And if you don't know what you're doing with credit cards, you can get yourself in a whole lot of financial trouble. So go ahead and take charge of your credit card. Don't let things get on top of you in terms of debt and stuff like that, because once you don't pay your credit card bill, you can be in some serious trouble. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and take a short break, but when we come back, we will be taking charge of our credit cards.
Taking charge of your credit card. You're applying for your first credit card and excited about making purchases with plastic. As excited as you may be, it's important to understand how credit cards work so that you can enjoy their benefits and avoid their drawbacks.
Okay, let's take another look at the title here. Of course, when you use your credit card, you are charging things, okay? Yes, I'd like to charge this purchase. I'd like to buy these clothing items here, but use my credit card to pay for them. I'd like to charge it, but if you take charge of something, then you'll be responsible for that thing and you use it wisely. Okay, so here in the first paragraph it says, you're applying for your first credit card and excited about making purchases with plastic. So yeah, you're applying for your card and you are excited about making purchases or buying things using plastic. Okay, plastic, of course, is the material that credit cards are made from. So we have that kind of slang term. I guess if you go into a store, sometimes they'll ask, are you paying by cash or plastic? And then you'll say, I'm going to pay with plastic. I'm going to use my credit card.
I'm going to use my credit card because credit cards are largely made out of plastic. Anyways, taking charge of your credit card. Don't let things get out of hand, okay? Be in charge. Be the boss and do a good job while being the boss. The boss of your finances. Anyway, so you're applying for your first credit card. You're excited about making purchases with plastic. And as excited as you may be, it's important to understand how credit cards work so that you can enjoy their benefits and avoid their drawbacks. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I know this for a fact. If you pay your credit card balance every month, in total, the credit card companies, they're not going to like you. They're going to call you a deadbeat because you know what? They don't make any money off you. You used your credit card to spend $20 and then you gave the credit card company $20. So they make no money that way. Now, let's say you miss a couple payments. Then they start tacking on fees and you have to pay extra penalty amounts of money and stuff like that. That's when the credit card companies start making that big money. Okay, so yes, avoid the drawbacks of credit cards. A drawback, by the way, is a bad thing about something. It's a negative. It's a con, so on and so forth. There are drawbacks to using credit cards, but also benefits. Sometimes if you spend enough money on your credit card, the credit card company gives you a gift or something like that. But there you go. Know your credit card. Know that it can bring you some benefits, but also know that your credit card could ruin your life. No kidding. Okay, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break, but when we come back, we'll start learning how credit cards work.
The first thing to be aware of is that each time you use your credit card, you are basically borrowing money from the bank, credit union, or other institution that issued your card. To make money, these companies tempt cardholders with the option of paying a small monthly minimum and carrying the remainder of their balance over to the following month. Interest is then charged on the outstanding balance, and the rate of that interest, known as the annual percentage rate, APR, can be as high as 15% yearly. Aside from APRs, companies also impose late fees on cardholders who miss their payment due dates. Late fees add up, and before you know it, you've got a huge debt to pay off.
大家好，第二部分我们看到单字 institution 这个字是名词，意思是机构。例如 The Red Cross is an institution that provides assistance to victims of natural disasters. 红十字会是一个援助天灾灾民的机构。另外，这个字除了上面的意思，还有以下几种用法。第一，指既有习惯、制度、习俗。例如 Going to church on Sunday is an institution for people throughout the world. 星期天上教会是全世界的人既有的习惯。第二，指知名的人事物。举例来说 After years of frequent roles in plays, Bart has become somewhat of an institution at the local theater. 在 Bart 多年来频繁的戏剧演出之后，他俨然已成为当地戏院的知名人物。接下来我们看到形容词 monthly 指每月的、按月的。例如 My monthly telephone bill comes to no more than 1,000 NT dollars. 我每月的电话费不超过台币1000元。另外，这个字也可以当副词。我们可以说 Bob receives his salary monthly on the 25th. Bob 每个月的25号收到薪水。再来，我们看到单字 remainder 这个字是名词，指剩余部分，剩下的人事物。常以 the remainder of 加名词，表示剩余的人事物等。举例来说 For the remainder of the class, practice your English by talking with the students next to you. 剩下的课堂时间，请跟隔壁的同学练习说英语。或是 After being injured by a bullet, the policeman spent the remainder of his career behind a desk. 那名员警在遭受枪伤后，之后的职场生涯都在做内勤。接着我们看到动词 impose 指强制实行、加强，把点点点强加于，像是 impose fines or taxes on 加名词就表示对点点点处以罚款或课税。举例来说 The regulator imposed heavy fines on the firm for breaking the rules. 监管机构对违法的公司处以高额的罚款。或是 The government of that country plans to impose a tax on plastic bottles. 那个国家的政府计划对塑胶瓶课税。
Okay, so let's talk about how credit cards work here. The first thing to be aware of, the first thing that you need to remember is that each time you use your credit card, you're basically borrowing money from the bank or the credit union or other institution that issued your card. Okay, so yes, indeed, when you use that credit card, you're basically borrowing money from those different institutions.
There you go, a bank, a credit union, or another institution. I believe that American Express is kind of not a bank or acts in a bank in some way, but it started out as a delivery service or something like that, but now they basically just specialize in credit cards and charge cards and stuff like that. So remember this. When you're using a credit card, it's not like, oh, I've got free money now. I'm going to go to the store and spend as much as I can. No, you use that card, and whenever you buy something, you're borrowing money from an institution, an organization, so on and so forth. Now, to make money, these companies tempt cardholders with the option of paying a small monthly minimum and carrying the remainder of their balance over to the following month. And this is what you've got to avoid doing, because that remaining amount that you don't pay, that starts to grow. You start to owe the bank more and more money when you only pay the minimum amount.
Yep, this is kind of new to me because I'm in the habit of paying my credit card bills every month on time. I would not enjoy the option of paying a small monthly minimum and then moving the rest of it or carrying the remainder of the balance over to the following month. I just don't like the feeling of always being in debt. So here we've got the option, that's just your choice, and you could pay a small monthly minimum. Monthly here just means once a month, just like daily or weekly or monthly or yearly. It just means once a month. So you pay the least amount every month, and then, of course, it gets moved over or carried over to the following month. The remainder here just refers to what is left. So if you owe, say, 50,000 NT dollars and you pay a small monthly minimum of, say, 10,000, then 40,000 NT dollars gets carried over to the next month. That's the remainder. The 40,000 is the remainder, what's left.
Now, we've already talked about how you can carry the remainder of the balance over to the following month. But this is where the magic happens for the bank and not for you. Interest is then charged on the outstanding balance, and the rate of that interest, known as the annual percentage rate, or the APR, can be as high as 15% yearly. So when you roll that remainder over, you're making the banks richer and richer.
Yeah, we've got the word outstanding here. That just means the amount that is remaining. So remember, I did mention 50,000 NT dollars. That's how much you owe, but you pay the minimum of 10,000 NT dollars. So the 40,000 NT dollars is the outstanding balance. Okay, and then there's interest added to that, which is called the APR, annual or yearly percentage rate. Percentage, I think you all know, that's just a ratio of something to 100.
Anyways, moving on, the next sentence says, aside from APRs, companies also impose late fees on cardholders who miss their payment due dates. So there you go. Not only are you going to get dinged with an APR interest rate there, but also you're going to get a late fee, or that late fee will be imposed on you.
Yep, aside from or in addition to, besides the APRs, they also will impose late fees. To impose means that you have to have this happen to you. Sometimes we say this if you're interrupting someone's conversation or if you're dropping in to visit somebody. Well, I hate to impose, but, I just happened to hear you say something and I'd like to comment on that. But yes, indeed, they will give you these late fees. So my goodness, you'll have to pay more if you miss those payment due dates. Yes, the payment is due on February 28th, and if you don't pay, you're going to be punished. You're going to have a penalty to pay.
So you get dinged with an interest rate, and then you also add on some late fees. Oh my goodness, things are getting out of control. But again, you're learning how banks make money by issuing credit cards. Anyways, late fees add up, folks. They really do. And before you know it, you've got a huge debt to pay off. This has happened to me in the past. I was able to pay it off. But boy, one day my account went from being minus $200 to minus $600 US. And I went, what happened? And they said, hey, your APR rate's this, that, and you had these late fees, Next thing you know, you owe a lot of money to the bank. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be back after this.
However, both of these fees can be easily avoided. If you pay the full amount on your bill each month, the APR won't ever haunt you. And late fees won't be a problem either if you take heed of due dates. Just remember that the more you pay now, the less you'll pay later.
第三部分，我们看到单字 haunt 这个字是动词，指不愉快的事不断困扰，鬼魂常出没于。举例来说 Memories of past failures haunted Jamie through much of his life. 过往失败的记忆在 Jamie 大半辈子中困扰着他。或是 The ghost of an old sailor haunts the local lighthouse, according to legend. 根据传说，有一个老兵的鬼魂在当地这座灯塔阴魂不散。最后我们看到片语 take heed of something 表示注意、留心、关注。举例来说 Alan took heed of his brother's advice and didn't invest money in the risky company. Alan 听取哥哥的意见，没有投资这家具有风险的公司。
Okay, so it does sound like you could get in trouble if you don't know how to use your credit card. But again, you need to take charge of your credit card, be responsible, and avoid those extra fees. So here, of course, we were talking about the annual percentage rate, the APR, and then late fees. So here in the next paragraph, it begins by saying, however, both of these fees can be easily avoided. Again, you can avoid the late fees and you can avoid the annual percentage rate. You can avoid those. Here's how you can do it. If you pay the full amount on your bill each month, the APR won't ever haunt you, which is my case. I always make sure that my credit card is paid in full at the end of every month. I guess that means credit card companies don't like me very much because they can't make a lot of money from me because I am a responsible credit card user. So yeah, make sure you pay the full amount. Don't pay that minimum amount, even though it sounds tempting. You still got to pay the full amount. Don't let yourself get into debt.
There you go. Pay the full amount each month, and the APR, I should say, won't be a problem. It won't haunt you, scare you, or somehow act like a ghost that you can't quite get rid of. And late fees won't be a problem either if you take heed of due dates, if you pay attention to due dates.
Indeed. So yeah, here we've got the phrase to take heed of, which means to remember and not forget about these things, okay? Maybe somebody will give you some advice. They might say, hey, you better heed my advice. You better remember it. You better respect it. You better follow that advice. So here, yes, take heed of those due dates. Don't forget them. Remember they are there. And remember to make the full payment so that you don't have those late fees. And that other one, the APR, the annual percentage rate, those can be real killers. Just remember that the more you pay now, the less you'll pay later. So again, the point here is to be responsible and to not go in debt. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的第二句写道 As excited as you may be, it's important to understand how credit cards work so that you can enjoy their benefits and avoid their drawbacks. 好，这边我们要介绍的是形容词as 或是 though 主词加上 be 动词或动词的句型。那么 as 和 though 在这边表示尽管虽然，而这样的用法它其实是倒装句型，用来强调句首的形容词。我们来看它原本的句型可以写成 though 或是 although主词加上 be 动词或动词再加形容词来表达虽然怎么样怎么样。那当我们要强调子句当中的形容词的时候，可以把形容词移到句首来形成倒装句，变成形容词加上 as 或 though 加主词加 be 动词或动词。好，那要特别注意的是倒装句型中我们只能用 as 或是 though， 不可以用 although 来表示。举例来说 Although it may seem tricky, It's actually quite easy. 虽然它看起来好像很困难，但它其实蛮简单的。好，我们要形成倒装句型，就先把形容词 tricky 移到句首，然后呢，记得不能用 although 哦，所以我们要把 although 改成 though 或者 as， 就会变成 tricky though it may seem， 或者是 tricky as it may seem, it's actually quite easy。好，可是同学们可能有注意到，课文句子明明就是 as excited as you may be， 形容词前面多一个 as， 这是因为在美语当中呢，他们通常会在倒装句型的这个形容词前面再多加一个 as， 就会变成 as 形容词 as 主词再加 be 动词或动词的句型。所以我们刚刚造的那个例句也可以说As tricky as it may seem, it's actually quite easy. 好，那我们接着就来还原课文的句子看看。As excited as you may be， 第一个那个 as 其实是多出来的，只是这个美语用法会多加了 as， 先遮住不管它哦。好，那么形容词 excited 本来是不是应该摆在 be 动词的后面？我们就把它丢到后面去。然后这个第二个 as 它是表达尽管虽然，如果我们是用 although 或者是 though 来取代它，这个句子就可以改写成 although you may be excited， 或者是 though you may be excited， 逗号 it's important to 怎么样怎么样。好，另外课文后半句它用到 so that， 这是连接词来表达以便怎么样，好让怎么样，意思就相当于 in order that。好，我们用 so that 或是 in order that 后面接表示目的的副词子句，就可以表达出以便怎么样，如此一来，这样一来，怎么样怎么样。那么在口语当中 so that 的那个 that 可以省略。我们来造两个例句。Put on some sunscreen so you don't get a sunburn， 或是 so that you don't get a sunburn， 擦点防晒乳，这样一来你才不会被晒伤。John made sure to lock his bicycle in order that it wouldn't be stolen. John 确认自己有把脚踏车上锁，这样车子才不会被偷走。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Drawback.Everyone agreed that the trip sounded great. The only drawback was its cost. Monthly. Most popular streaming services charge their users a small monthly fee. Outstanding. Tim has a number of outstanding bills that, for some reason, he refuses to pay. Percentage. 200 years ago, a large percentage of the population could neither read nor write. Impose.After learning that tobacco is harmful, most governments imposed laws on smoking. Haunt. Frank's laziness came back to haunt him when he failed his first year of university.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.